Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 10th of September. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How goes it, Chris?
Tuesday the 9th, is it not? Or is my laptop wrong?
Tuesday the 9th. Tuesday the 9th. So it is. I'm wishing the days away. You can't blame me because it's an absolutely dire part of the season, of course. There's another one next week, folks. Not next week, next month, an international break. But counting down the days for Rangers to return to action. So, Tuesday the 9th of September. How goes it?
Not too bad. Like you, I'm ticking off the days of this international break. It's weird. You spend the first 4 weeks of the season with Rangers ruining almost every match day that they play in, and then you get a wee break from them, and you can't wait for it to come back again so they can hopefully not ruin what's to come on Saturday. But not. I think, as we've discussed a number of times on these shows, not a fan of these breaks. So looking forward to the days ticking on, and also press conference Friday, and then back to Ibrox on Saturday, which I'm looking forward to.
Yep. Very jealous of Guest. He says, good morning, tuning in from sunny Zante. Would look like a wee bit of sun. Although it's pretty bright down here in Warrington this morning, so long may that continue. Before we crack on, what we'll do is today, folks, we'll invite a lot of you guys to, or girls, of course. I know that many of you women tune in on a morning, on a weekday. If you want to have any points of view you want to put towards myself and Chris, then please do so. And we'll get through a number of your questions. Before we crack on, a quick word for our podcast sponsors at Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, proud partners of the Rangers Review. They've got over 20 years of experience, and they're offering free consultation as well as 10% off if you use the code Rangers Review over on their website, willows-fencing.com. So a number of the players will be returning from representing their international teams. Nico Raskin is one. We discussed them at length yesterday, Chris. We're also going to touch on Oliver Antman's comments as well, which ties in with your piece on the website. But just on Raskin and his comments after netting his first international goal for Belgium in their rout of Kazakhstan. He'll be returning to Ibrox for showdown talks with Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell. The outcome simply has to be him back reinstated in the team. And then, of course, I would like the contract situation resolved. But he says that he loves Rangers, loves the club so much. He doesn't want to leave. What do you make of his comments the other day there?
There's a piece on the site this morning from myself and Josh looking at the Raskin situation and almost how we got to this point, where we move on from this point, and a bit of insight from Josh into the role that he does have in this side and the role that he could have in this side. We reported on the site, and also broke the news on the show on deadline day that Nico Raskin would not be moving on, and that he would go away on international duty and then come back and have these discussions with the manager. And I think that news was greeted as warmly and as well as almost any bit of signing news that we either broke or spoke about over the course of the window. We saw a lot of love for Nico Raskin in the comments on social media and on the show on deadline day. I think that sums up his standing amongst the Rangers fans. We've seen when he's not been on the side, we've had Union Bears chanting his name. You see a lot of the social media stuff about why he has to be a main part of this side. Ultimately, as Kevin Thelwell said in his RTV interview last week, a successful Rangers side is the most important thing here. If Russell Martin believes that Nico Raskin is not going to be part of a successful Rangers side, then that's his call to make. I don't think you'll get many people who would say that the best Rangers 11 right now does not include Nico Raskin. So if that is the case, and Martin believes that Raskin is one of the best 11 players at the club, he has to find a way to get him in this side and also get the best out of him. Because a fully fit, fully motivated, fully firing Nico Raskin, nobody can tell me that that's not an asset to Rangers and could be a big part of a potentially successful Rangers side. So, as I say in that piece on the website this morning, I would love to be a fly in the wall when these conversations take place. Now, when Nico's back at Auchenhow and he goes into the manager's office and says, right, where are we and where do we go from here? A really interesting conversation to be had. And come Saturday, I touched on that Hearts game at Ibrox. Come Saturday, when the teams are announced at 1:45 or so, Nico's going to be the first name that people are going to be looking for.
Yeah. Where do you think he fits into the team then? Because I don't think there's any other midfielder at Rangers that would be able to occupy a place in the Belgium first 11 alongside Yuri Tielemans and Kevin De Bruyne. Where can Rangers get the best out of him? There's a lot of debate whether he should just be sat in there as a number 6, a sole number 6, whether he should have a partner, another defensive sort of minded midfielder in alongside him, whether he should be pushed up as an 8 that we sort of seen at the tail end of last season, making runs into the box and getting on the end of things. How do Rangers get the best out of him starting Saturday, Chris?
As Josh outlined in that piece on the site that we have this morning, I don't think the way that Russell Martin uses the two more advanced midfielders, the two number 8s, it's not got the best out of Nico so far this season. He's not looked overly comfortable in either of those roles. I think he sees himself as the 6, as the guy that's going to start playing, going to really dictate games. The comments from Martin right at the start of the season, when myself and Josh were down at St George's Park and the manager was asked about Nico Raskin, and he spoke about how he has to do more by doing less, and he clearly sees that 6 role differently than Nico sees it. And also, as I mentioned in that piece this morning, I think one of the big problems that Martin has got right now, and in more ways than one almost, is Joe Rothwell. So he's brought Rothwell in to play that role. Rightly or wrongly, the fans see Rothwell as the guy that's been brought in to replace Raskin and that's keeping Raskin out of the side. If Rothwell had come in and been a standout performer, you then have to say manager's judgment is right. He's brought a player in. He's really contributing to the team. He's really playing well. Because Rothwell's not quite been at it, people then say, well, get him out of the team, get Nico back in, and it's going to build and build and build. So I think the most likely position for him is to be the 6, and you then have Asgard probably once he's fully up to speed, which we've not quite seen yet, and you've then got Cameron, you've then got Diomande as one of the other ones, and one of those more advanced roles. Does that get the best out of Nico Raskin? I'm not sure. I would like to see him being a bit more box to box. I think he showed in the second half of last season, once Barry Ferguson was in, he was chipping in with goals, he was breaking forward, he was getting beyond the striker, and I thought he really added something to his game in the second half of last season. If he's going to be the sole man at number 6, that's probably not in his within his role there. So that's something that Nico and the manager will need to discuss. Now, where is his best position? Where can he be more effective, not just for the team but also for himself? Again, we have to remember, International Week, this is a guy who only made his debut for his country a few months ago. He's now very much on track to be part of the Belgium squad at the World Cup next summer. He needs to be playing. He needs to be playing well, and if he does do that for Rangers, the benefit is then obviously for Nico. There's a benefit for Rangers, and there's a benefit for Belgium as well.
Yeah, I've said it on a couple of videos now. The ideal situation for me is even if he doesn't sign that new deal just now, I think if he goes on, has a good year with Rangers, wins the World Cup with Belgium, plays in all the matches, holds that gold trophy aloft, then cue the clubs weighing up big money moves, and Rangers can sell him on for mega money. But that is the dream scenario. Whether that comes to fruition remains to be seen. I'm getting a bit jealous that a number of you commenting in. Charleston is one from far-flung places. It says, sitting on my sunbed in Tenerife, waiting for the cocktail of the day to appear. What is the cocktail of the day, Charleston? Please let us know. You fan of a cocktail or two, Chris?
If I was sitting on a sunbed in Tenerife, I dare say I would be, but unfortunately, I've got a day of hard graft ahead of us, so there will be no sunbeds. There might be a wee bit of sun up here, but I don't think there'll be any cocktails on the go here. Unfortunately, not unless I can go and sneak a couple through expenses while Josh is away on his holidays.
Yeah, good luck with that. But yeah, that's a tad jealous of those of you that are sunning yourselves next to the pool. Right, lots of you commenting in with questions. I love this. It's that fun. Guardian Zero says, what does Chris do now the window is shut? I'm sure you were pleased when that window slammed shut, as they say, Chris, because we can now focus on the here and now, on the players that are in the building, of course, and not looking at swatting away transfer rumours and the likes. Has your workload changed since the window shut on Monday evening?
The phone's a wee bit quieter. It doesn't ring as often and beep as often, and I don't have to send as many messages to people to check things out. Spending a bit less time on LinkedIn as well. But as people know by now, it's never dull at Rangers, is it? There's always something on the go. There's always things to talk about, things to check out, things to write about, and plenty of different bits and bobs to get into. So I'm keeping myself ticking over a bit of R&R time at some point, hopefully, and then we'll come back and we'll do it all over again in January, which will be here before you know it.
Yep, as a comment came in from, I love this username, Random Madness. He said, anyone else noticed how well Suter played last night on his natural side? I never watched the game. I've never watched the two Scotland games, but Suter did play against Denmark and last night against Belarus as they won by 2-0. I've said that when myself and Blair were on last week, we put in what we think are the strongest Rangers 11s. We both had Suter on that right-hand side in place of Giga, with Derek Cornelius on the left. I would like to see Suter playing there on that right-hand side. I think it's just a fair comment, Chris. He does look more natural there. You often hear centre-halves saying that they have a preferred side, usually on the foot that they play with. That is at the more natural side of the centre back pairing that they like to play. I would like to see that on Saturday, and that's an interesting conundrum facing Russell Martin with Derek Cornelius in the building. I'd be looking to thrust him straight in if he's fit and available. Play him at left centre back, and then it's either Giga or Suter on the right. It's
an interesting call that ahead of the weekend. Russell has shown that he is willing to put players in. Not long after signing, obviously Antman springs to mind. Someone will come on and talk about. He obviously went straight into his debut. Well, the ink was still drying on his contract just about. Cornelius, if he's fit and he's good to go, which we expect he will be after this international break. Interesting to see if he comes straight in and he plays or not. I think the centre half issue, it's been one that we've spoken about right since the start of the season. Rangers, they've not looked comfortable defensively. They've not looked accomplished defensively. They've given up some really, really poor goals. Given up, it's like far too many chances. They're not. I think before it, they were averaging 15 or 16 a game in terms of chances they were giving up. That clearly is unsustainable. Clearly has to change. Cornelius, if he's good to go and he can provide a bit more balance, then I've got no issue with him coming straight into the side on Saturday, playing in that left centre half role. It's a position that Rangers tried to strengthen previously. They couldn't get the deal for Conor Cody over the line, and then also the move for Nobel Mendy collapsed right at the last minute. Cornelius is the man that they finally got into to fill that position. You need a bit more balance. I don't think Suter has looked comfortable at all on that left-hand side. But we've been saying that for a number of seasons, haven't we? When it was him and Conor Goldson, and it was obvious that Goldson would play on his side. It was always Suter that was he would get the game time, but he wouldn't look as comfortable as he perhaps could do playing on his more natural side. So I think for the balance of the team and the balance of that partnership, you might say it's a wee bit harsh on Giga, having come in and must have played a lot of football of late. He's certainly not been flawless though, and every position right now, every position in this team is up for grabs, because Rangers are searching for answers. They're searching for a perfect solution to try and really get this thing going. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Cornelius comes in and it's then a call between Suter and Giga. I think Martin might just go for John Souttar in there, and we'll see a new partnership there for the game against Hearts.
Yeah, incidentally, Derek Cornelius was playing for Canada in their 3-0 win over Romania, and he's also set to be in action tonight at the Swansea City Stadium as Canada take on Wales in a friendly. So, hopefully comes through that unscathed and he gets back up the road. And I'll be throwing him straight into the team for the match on Saturday. Good point. Good question that came in there. The next one that pops in here from Robert Binney. He says, just on that Hearts game, is it a must-win for Russell Martin? We sort of touched on this yesterday. It is absolutely. It's not one of these must-not-lose or whatever. He has to win football matches, and starting on Saturday, it's a real 6-pointer given Hearts' start to the season as well. Lose that game. It's all right me saying I can't see him surviving, but at the end of the day, it's a board, and he came out after the Old Firm game and said he has a full backing of Andrew Kavanagh and the boards, which is, I don't know if that's the dreaded vote of confidence or not, but a Rangers manager who goes 5 games without a win in the league, can't see him lasting long, Chris.
To answer Robert's question there, yes, is a short and simple answer there. As you touched on, Russell Martin has to start winning matches. He needs to start putting points on the board. You look at the situation overall, and you look at the situation across the city. Made this point to a number of people it feels like the last few seasons that I've been making this point to people. Rangers continually don't ask the question of Celtic. They don't put when the chance is there to put a bit of pressure on, to change the narrative, to shift to really put the focus on Celtic. Rangers continually find ways to make a mess of it and shift the narrative. The European week there was the perfect example. Celtic lose in Almaty, and all the fallout on the back of that. Yep. Rangers then go and ship 6. 24 hours later, they're absolutely destroyed by Bruges. It shifts all the focus back onto Russell Martin. Then get into the Old Firm game. It's not a great Rangers performance. It feels like a missed opportunity because it's a home derby. You need to be looking to win those matches. And even over the last 10 days or so, we've seen what's going on at Parkhead. You see the reaction. You see the mood of their support. This is a real opportunity for Rangers. If they can go and beat Hearts, or had a good start to the season themselves, go beat Hearts, put in a performance, get a big result, you then start to hopefully try and build a bit of momentum. This next run of games, also got the Hibs game coming up, a couple of tricky away games in there, you're back into European action. This next tranche of matches for Russell Martin is absolutely huge. I know he can say he's got the backing of the board and it's a long-term process, and everybody's bought in and everyone's on the same page. Kevin Thelwell can reaffirm that in the RTV interview last week. That's fine at the time. If you go another couple of games and you've not picked up the points and you've not played well and there's still no signs that this is getting any better, all the interviews and all the sound bites in the world don't mean anything, because the Rangers fans will decide for themselves what the future holds for this manager. So he needs to start picking up results and putting in performances. There's no excuses now. No, this is his squad. Yep. This is his group of players. He's been backed really considerably in the transfer market. So yes, you could always do with another player. Yes, you could always do with more time on the training ground. That's life at Rangers. It's not perfect. You don't always get every player you want. You don't always get the time on the training ground that you want. But you have to rise to those challenges. You have to meet those challenges head on, and that's what Rangers have to do in these coming weeks. So yes, Saturday is a must win, but it's the first of several must wins coming up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much wiggle room at this point in time, given that the poor start to the season that Rangers have had. And I just can't see where a win's going to come from. I've got to admit that might be downbeat, but given what I've witnessed in the league so far, I think it's going to be really difficult on Saturday. Although Rangers do have a good record against Hearts, Let's hope that continues and they can get a much-needed victory, because that will do Russell Martin the world of good. Moving on, just staying with the topic of the defence, Null FNC says, Fernandes, how far down the pecking order is our only permanent centre-half signing of the summer revolution? Said at the time, we've discussed Manny Fernandes on shows before. He's only really played the Alloa game where he scored, and St Mirren, of course, because Giga was suspended. On the face of it, it looks like a bit of a strange signing. I know at the time the Peterborough fans were out celebrating the fee that they got from Rangers for him. I think it surprised many people, that one. He's not a kid. He's 24, I believe. So it's not a case of he's one for the future, although I think that is what Rangers see him as. I just have a feeling, I've just got a view that is he any better than Clinton Enciala? I've not seen enough from him to really say that he is. I think the money could have been spent better elsewhere, but that is my view on it. Fernandes, Chris, when is he going to get a look in, do you think?
I think he's quite far down the pecking order, and he's even further down the pecking order than the day before Derek Cornelius signed. I think Cornelius comes in and goes ahead of him. I think it's safe to say that Suter's ahead of him and that Giga's ahead of him. You're looking at the odd cup game here and there, maybe the odd game at Ibrox. If there's an injury or a suspension, he might get a chance, but he's now got 3 ahead of him now, and it's hard to see where he's going to get regular game time this season. If he had been 19 and Rangers had spent the fee on him, you say, well, he's still a bit raw, he's still got a lot of learning to do, still got a lot of football to play. As you say, he's not been around the game, not been around the high levels for a long time, been around the game long enough. He is a bit of a slow burner in terms of his career, if you like. Now, also spent a bit of time trying to establish himself in the game. But it's hard to see where he's going to get that regular game time this season. Now, come next season, obviously, we've got the John Suter contract situation. There's no guarantee that he's here. Giga, obviously, on loan. I don't think you'll have people saying, go and give Wolves their £10 million that they paid for him and bring him back up the road. So that's 2 spaces. Enciala, I would imagine, will move on. Leon King will move on. And Cornelius, it's obviously a loan with an option on it, so there's no guarantee that he's here. So Fernandes, come the first day of pre-season, he might not have that much competition for him, but over the coming months, I'm not sure he's going to be a regular feature in that Rangers side, and I don't think we've seen enough to suggest that he should be. So time will tell when he gets his next outing, but it feels like he's quite far out of the picture. Obviously, still a first team player and very much a part of the first team squad. But in terms of picking an 11 to go and play Hearts, or picking an 11 to go and play Hibs, or Livy away, or Falkirk away, or any of these matches, or one of the European games, I don't think you get many people putting him in their predicted lineups.
Just seems a mad amount of money to spend on a guy that was playing for a struggling League One side in England, and wasn't exactly having a host of clubs bidding for his signature in the summer. But let's hope he proves us wrong and he stakes a claim, but I just don't see him getting an opportunity soon anyway. Moving on from that, and this sort of leads us on to your piece on the website as well, Chris. Tony gets in touch. Morning, lads. Quick one with regards to Antman's comments. Have you ever heard a squad of players talk so publicly about angry fans and pressure, etc.? Not a good sign, in my opinion, if you can't stand the heat. So I'll read you what Oliver Antman said. It was after his Finland side crashed to a defeat in their World Cup qualifier in Poland. He said, on Rangers, so we knew what the situation was like, what the expectations are within the club. I've had to quickly get used to what everyday life is like in a passionate football city if the team doesn't play as expected. It's been a tough start, and since then the fans have been vocal, really angry and annoyed. That's understandable, but I am enjoying it, and there's no doubt Glasgow is the best footballing city in the world. So there you go. That is Oliver Antman. You've got a great piece where you spoke to some of his coaches growing up and charting his career to Rangers as well. Go and check it out, folks. It's well worth a read. Antman, just on the player, looked brilliant on his debut against Victoria Pilsen. Has dropped off quite considerably since then. Why do you think that is, Chris? And he's another one that a lot of money was spent on him. I think I'd be starting him at the weekend, but we just want to see a bit more. I just want to see him take on his man, try and hit the byline. Is that more of a system, what he's been asked to do by Russell Martin, perhaps? But there is a player in there. We just need to get it out.
I think his career to date suggests that there is a player in there. When you don't, in that piece that you mentioned on the site, it's a long time since he was being scouted by Barcelona and had the chance to go there. People can find out a bit more about that story in the piece. Even his professional career, he was really highly rated at Northland. Had a number of really good players ahead of him and just couldn't really nail down a sustained run of starting appearances there. Someone that Northland didn't want to lose, but they had an agreement with Antman that if he was not getting the game time that he needed and that he wanted, he would be able to move on. He goes to Holland and has a really good time of it at Go Ahead Eagles. Really contributes in terms of numbers, and obviously wins the cup as well. Rangers then come in for him. First night, that Pilsen game, thought this is the guy that Rangers have been looking for. This is going to be a really good bit of business. Since then, it's not really worked for him. But he clearly has talent. He clearly got something about him. He's maybe just trying to find his feet and just looking to settle into, as he outlined in those comments. He's come into a club that's not exactly in a great place right now. No, fans are questioning the future of the manager. Fans are not they're not exactly impressed with results and performances, and rightly so. He's come into a side who are still just searching for something, searching for anything to try and get themselves kick started. So it's not been the easiest time to come into Rangers, but I think there's definitely something in him. He's really highly rated in Finland, big player for their international side as well. So if people want to find out a bit more about his story, so that Barcelona interest and how he can have progressed in his career, go and check out that piece on the site.
Yep, it's well worth a read, folks. We'll a couple of more points before we wrap up for today. Point here from the Wick Warrior. He says, do we have strong enough players to overcome the poor confidence that's throughout the squad? I think that ties in with the argument that Joshua has raised on a number of shows now about whether Rangers have recruited a spine in the summer. Now, jury is still out, of course, but do they have enough leaders in that dressing room? Just off the top of my head, just trying to think of guys that are in there that can really get players going. I mean, Jack Butland's an experienced pro. James Tavernier, of course, has been there for 10 years coming up. And, over 10 years now, hasn't he? He joined in 2015 when he and Martin Wycorn, time flies. Nico Raskin, I think, is someone that is very vocal. But is there enough players in that dressing room, Chris, to drag Rangers out of this hole that they find themselves in at the moment? For me, I think Rangers have enough quality. I think the squad has enough quality in it. Looking at teams elsewhere in the league, I think there is enough quality in that squad to go on and win the league. That is my view. I do not think that Russell Martin is getting the best out of this team as it currently stands. I think that is all on the head coach as opposed to the players. I get it could be a bit of both. It probably is, but it's more so the system, what they've been asked to do. I think that is where Rangers are falling down at the moment. But is that a fair argument? Do Rangers not have enough leaders in there, winners in that dressing room?
You could always do with more, and I think that we spoke about that towards the end of the window in terms of some of the profiles that Rangers were linked with and that they were looking at. I think you're really looking for as many of these type of characters as possible, because you can't have enough guys that just know the score, that just know the demands, and that can meet those demands. That's why someone like Cyril Dessers moving on, I think that's a big negative in terms of the squad, in terms of the personality. You can argue about his quality and his goals and all the things that we did do, but you can't have you can't have enough of guys like Dessers that just understand it and that can handle the the weird and the wonderful world that is Rangers and his life in Glasgow. So time will tell. Rangers have put themselves in this situation. They've not won enough games. They've not performed well enough in too many games. Only they can change it. So it's up to the work that the manager does on the training ground. It's up to the teams that he picks, and then ultimately it's up to the players on the pitch. If they have the quality, which I think they do, that's obviously a start. But you need to have that mentality as well. I think mentality is the one thing that you can't really judge. You can look at scoring records, you can look at minutes played, you can look at pass completion, you can look at as many different stats and numbers and graphs and charts as you like. You can't tell what's inside someone's head and how they're going to react when they walk out at Ibrox or when they go to Pittodrie, go to Easter Road, go to Parkhead. You just don't know until they're there.
Yeah.
And that's the big question that this squad and that this manager have to answer. Do they have the quality to win the league? I think they do. Do they have the mentality? Well, we're about to find out.
Oh, and there we go, folks. Apologies for that. We've got Chris back. That may have been me. Who knows who it was, but we've got ourselves back anyway. But yeah, as Butler says, I know that bombshell. Apologies for that, folks. But sorry if you no idea what happened there. Anyway, we'll wrap up now. There's a comment that came in actually. And where is it? For the life of me, I can't find it. There we go. Robert Ferguson gets in touch, and we'll just finish up on the cocktail theme. He says, what about a rusty martini cocktail, shaken not stirred, with a dash of bitters? 2 of those would do nicely, Robert. Thank you very much. But we'll call it a day there. Now, a heads up, if you want to learn more about Derek Cornelius, I'm speaking to a Marseille podcaster later on this evening, folks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell as well. You'll never miss a video when we go live. So get a bit of insight into him. Those of you that are Rangers Review Extra members will record our Q&A show tomorrow. So plenty to come on the channel over the next few days. But a big thank you to Chris, and a thank you to you all for tuning in to the show. And we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.